I remember back in the day at the video rental store picking up Milon's Secret Castle. Looked pretty interesting, so I popped it into the NES and fired it up. The game started off good, a lot to explore, and it engaged the imagination. Well, that was until the enemies started pestering, then I got stuck. Where do you go? I knew somehow you had to have the ability to be able to jump on those picnic tables, but how? So I think the game was returned early, but it stayed in the mind as I've always wondered what was beyond level 1. What gets me to revisit this game? One word: closure. I just need closure. Well, based on the reviews of this game, it didn't get a lot of love. 2 out of 10 from IGN. Oh, that's not great. Let's dig in and find out why. Hudson Soft released this game for the Famicom in 1986, and later for the NES in 1988. It's an action kind of puzzle game. The story goes like this.
Milon lives in the land of Hudson, where everyone can communicate through music. Milon is the only one who can't, so he decides to depart and search for musical knowledge all across the world. When he comes back, he finds out that the evil warlord Maharito has taken over his castle and captured Queen Eliza. Milon is determined to rescue the Queen and Castle Garland from the clutches of Maharito and his minions, who guard the 7 magic crystal balls.
It sure would have been nice to have a manual on this one, because I was completely clueless. I didn't have anything. We just left with one confusing game. Alright, let's go through the gameplay. The castle's laid out in several levels. There are 4 levels, which you can only see the first level or 2 from the ground. You can pick a door to enter, which gives you kind of that non-linear flow. It frequently has lightning storms outside, and those lightnings they're a pain to dodge. And what's even more annoying is when you go into a door, you get kind of froze, and the lightning just sits there and zaps you as you go in, which is a nice cheap shot. Later I learned you can shoot the lightning, which helps a lot. In order to complete a level, you must collect certain items. These will trigger the boss to let you advance. And this is where the first problem begins, as it's difficult to find the first item that you need. Let's walk through the levels. In level 1, I'm going to call it just finding the crystal, because this is the first thing you're trying to get. But in the first door, there's a hidden store which is critical to find, otherwise you won't be able to progress in this game. I just ran around looking for ways to make the jumps, and in the second door, I got stuck, unable to make the jumps without the spring shoes. Once you know you can push the block, you can buy the shoes that you need to be able to make the jumps. But it's that block that was always tricky to find. This is where the AVGN pointed out this block is a cheap block, because you don't know you can push it, and even when you push it, you still have to shoot around to find the door. So it's pretty cheap. It's pretty hidden. Some people probably find that interesting in the game, like, oh great, I can find the secrets. But when you have nothing to go on, it is very tricky, and so that can really hang you up. One thing to note is that most money blocks are like one-time pickups, meaning you can only collect them once. This makes it a challenge to buy things, especially on the first few levels. On level 3, there's some levels where the money actually reappears, making the money a non-issue at that point, because you can just go in and collect as much as you need. But on level 1, it's definitely an issue. So make sure you collect enough for those shoes and a potion. The potion allows you to shrink when you touch the boxing glove. Without it, you just take damage. Also make sure to collect any honeycombs you find. They won't just fill your life up, they'll also increase it and extend it. Once you have the required items, go into the boss room with the window. Now you can see the bosses jumping around and shooting bullets. I tried several approaches to beat it. However, what I found was best is to kind of just do the same thing the boss is doing. Jump and shoot. Not very fun for my arthritic fingers, but it works. In level 2, I made a mistake and went straight for the well right at the first. It starts off in a dark room. You can't see all the blocks. I kind of just fumbled my way around, kind of got past a few things, and then got to this level with the flames. The flames were not something you can dodge. I tried several different ways to go around them, but eventually I had to kind of back my way out. I figured there must be some items I'm missing, so I went back to check all the other doors. The first room I went to had a maze-like level, where you kind of circle your way around into the center. However, before you exit, you need to get to the shop and pick up the lantern, which is $15, instead of that ridiculous $50 that Barnaby the castle wizard's trying to sell you in the game earlier. Oh, the next level. This one's a pain. You'll often find yourself at the bottom in the Hudson sign, where the enemies just kind of gang up on you, and it's difficult to dodge. You just get stuck in the letters. There is a shop in here, but it only sells power, like healing power. There's a free cash block, so that's nice. The Barnaby gives you a little bit of cash. But the main thing you need here is hidden in the end part of the Hudson letters. You need to be small, but once you're inside you can buy the fire vest to get past the flames at the well. Once you do that, it's back to the well. With the lantern and the vest, it's much easier. However, the flames still can do damage, and getting the boss is kind of annoying. Boss is like a bouncing dust cloud. Luckily, it's not too difficult. After the boss, you get the hammer, which allows you to open up the walls. But you do have to make it out of the well, which is a little bit tricky, especially when you come out of that boss battle. You have very little life and you don't get healed up. And that's one of the things, too, this game is very tricky with the life. You only have that one life to live, so you gotta make the most of it. Before you go on to level 3, we need to find the saw in a secret hole shop on the first level. The saw lets you open barred windows, and then there's one more boss to deal with before you can go on to level 3. Level 3 has many windows and doors, as well as secrets in the towers. I first went to explore the room with the fireplace, but I didn't get very far, so then I decided to explore the room with the purple. The purple room's painful. There's a lot of false floors, always dropping you to the bottom. However, in the room there are some important items, and this is the first time I ran into the bonus stage, where you can rack up some points for cash. You have to grab the notes and the sharps and avoiding the flats. The notes just mainly fly up to the bottom and kind of just smack you. But hey, it's easy cash, so it's fine, even if it's kind of odd. You need to carefully inch your way across the top to get to the shop. The shop has a feather, which is semi-needed in one of the levels. I didn't find enough cash on this level, but there is a window straight above outside the castle. It'll take you to that first cash room in the first level, that treasure room that you can't get to. It seems to mock you, but that's the cash room that you want to go to. And there's a shop inside there that has the super jump shoes for $60. So that's going to be quite a bit. However, these shoes are quite nice as they help you to make a lot of big jumps. Another secret is that you can loop back to that cash room several times. So you could go back out and go back into level 3 and then back out to that level again. And doing that several times can get you quite a bit of cash, and usually enough to pick up those shoes. So that's what I did. Level 3 has multiple things to pick up, like a tube that shows hidden blocks in the towers, the feather that helps you ride the elevator, a balloon ship that lets you kind of fall, and super jump shoes. And probably the most important item is the sword. The sword makes your kind of boosts up your bubbles and gets more powerful, which you're going to need to beat the bosses. Especially level 3 has got tons of bosses, and some of them are very difficult. Once you have those items and beat some more bosses, it's time for the towers. Now the tower levels are quite different, with one having like drops in it, and you kind of drop into through and you have to dodge different shocks. The other one's kind of like a spiral maze with a boss kind of at each end of these towers. Now the confusing trick is finding the fake princesses in these sub-levels. So there's like these sub-levels that you have to kind of get through from going from a normal level. Yeah, the first level's in the fireplace. After you beat the boss, it'll put you in a kind of that limbo area, the sub level. And there's a lot of false floors, so you really kind of try to stay in the middle and stay at the top. Once you get into this, keep progressing on the side, eventually you'll find the fake princess, asking for help, which turns out to be just kind of like a bird monster. You beat that and you can get an item. What you need is the items of this cane and crown. And if you get both cane and the crown on the both sub-levels, then the boss will appear for level 3. That boss is kind of like a skeleton dragon. It does the same thing, just jumps and shoots like all the rest of them, but it is kind of a pain. This one's tricky. I might have to try a few times to get that one to go. Once you can get past that, you can get to level 4. There's not much to level 4, just a door. And in this door, there are 4 other pillared rooms. Each area has a boss, but 3 of the bosses are fake. It's making this one a real pain to find out which boss is which. And it's really painful because every time you enter the room, of course, they're going to reset and respawn. And the bird monsters are always shooting you. So if you get up to the top, they're shooting from underneath. Or if you're on the bottom, they're just shooting you through the walls and everything. So it's really painful to kind of dodge. I tried several different areas, but beating the boss did nothing. So I didn't really get anywhere until I found the green one. And after jumping and attacking was all over, the princess was saved, and Milon's bubble-blowing days were over. The ending was pretty light on the story, but it was a welcome sight nonetheless. Alright, let's hit the scores on this one. For graphics, the castles look good, the enemies are creative, and there's good use of color. So overall, this game has reasonable graphics. It's not that bad for the time. The bosses are a bit bland, and not much to them, and Milon's a bit flat as a character, but I'm still giving this game a B. The music is repetitive, and it kind of sounds like a carnival. If there was more music for the game, that would be helpful, especially since the main story plot in this game is that it's about music. There's a few other songs, but none of them are particularly memorable. The sound effects are not great, but not terrible. I mean, at least the sound effects provide some feedback when you're hitting the boss. You'll at least kind of know that you're hitting it. If there wasn't, there would be no other indication. So, for this, I'm going to give the music and the sound effects a C. Oh, the gameplay. Let's talk about that. There's no hit recovery, and this is brutal. In this game, that really tanks the gameplay a lot. You just get beat up. The enemy bullets, they just fly right at you. They always seem to be just right where you want to be. Every time you're trying to dodge, it's really difficult. Sometimes you're hopping, but the bullets come right for you. There's something about the movement that just makes it annoying. One reviewer put it this way: he runs like his feet are greased, and his jumps are easily interrupted by the nearby blocks that are adjacent or directly above him. And that seems to be true. There just seems to be something off with that jumping. It makes it a little bit annoying, or it's just like you get interrupted or something. So it's always a little off. The other thing that's really annoying about the gameplay is that's just that high respawning of enemies. They're just constantly coming back and chewing you up. And this is kind of needed in some ways because you constantly have to farm for life. But most of the time they're just chewing up your life. You'll gain some and then lose a bunch. Lose a couple and gain one. So it's really rough, that all that high respawning just makes the gameplay not particularly fun. Besides for other elements. So for this, I'm giving the gameplay an F. I'm sorry, it kind of failed. And I think this is reason why most reviewers are just not liking it. However, let's go into the design. There's even more issues there. So in the design, let's talk about the good parts. There are some good parts. I mean, I think the concept of having hidden secrets is kind of nice. I mean, who doesn't mind finding secrets? I mean, finding secrets is a fun design element. However, some of those secrets are a little too hidden, and the clues and things are extremely vague. So it makes for very frustrating time just running around trying to beat on anything and everything to try to find anything, secrets to help you progress. The items expand abilities, so that's great. That I always enjoy stuff that kind of, you take an item and kind of progresses and makes the gameplay, changes up the gameplay a little bit, lets you explore, find new things, and build your character up. I think that's great. That's a good part of this game. It's probably one of the reasons why I want to like it, for sure. The other thing is the levels are pretty unique. There's different, they're not all the same. They not all have the same mechanics. They all have different feels to them. They all have different ways of going about them. Some are definitely more annoying than others, but they're all different and unique, and different ways to explore them. So I think that's a good part. Now let's talk about some of those bad parts. So one of the bad parts is that bad gameplay I mentioned before. That really was nasty. The other thing that makes it difficult, it's very difficult in the game because there's no extra lives. There's a continue system in it, but it's hidden. And if you don't forget to hold, let's just say, or forget to hold or don't hold the left, I think that's the left arrow in the start, and I hopefully got that right. It's easy to forget, and then you're starting back over again. So it's very, very brutal. So even making the continua hidden, it's really not great. The farming for hit points is fairly frequent because you gotta get back, you gotta recharge somehow. You don't want to have to start over at all. So yeah, you constantly were farming to just try to get back hit points, and you have to find little spots to do so, and it takes a while to get it. The gold only respawns on certain levels, and I think that's also kind of difficult because you're trying to buy things, but now you gotta find all the little blocks that have money in them, which is annoying and slows the game down in some ways. You're hunting every little single block you can find to get that. There's a lot of cheap shots in the game, like just enemies that'll just pop up underneath your feet, bullets that just fly in your way, and then you get stuck somewhere where you can't jump, but then they're smacking you. And then of course the end boss really got me good. You get trapped between two kind of columns, and then it just gets in there, and of course with no hit recovery time, you get chewed up really good. There's a lot of same bosses in this game, and that's also not particularly great. It'd be nice to have some different varieties there. And it's easy to get stuck. It's easy to miss a key item and then just not be able to progress in the game. I found myself, getting stuck quite a bit, and that's really makes this game just annoying, and I think that's what hung people up. Would it have been possible to beat this in my younger days on a rental? I kind of think not, and I think that was what probably made this game infamous. And people to this day, I mean, you're going to see reviews probably 20 years from now, and constantly, periodically just showing up like this, because it did affected a lot of people. The game did. I think there was a lot that probably wanted it to be good, and it just kind of failed. The playtime kind of varies heavily. It kind of depends on practice and possibly save states. Okay, lots of save states. But 5 to 8 hours, you can possibly do it. Well, there you have it. Milon's Secret Castle. Yeah, I should have left this one with AVGN, because it's rough. Here's some of what other gamers thought about it.
This game is a gaming war crime. Every possible gaming faux pas is in it. No lives. No continues. No full life. No post-hit invincibility. No indicator of secrets. No indications of what your objectives are. Extremely repetitive music loops. Insanely fast enemy respawn speeds. It needs to go to the Gaming Hague and answer for its crimes against humanity. That said, I did play it a lot as a lad, and I bought it from a trade store a while back to add to my retro collection. That does not make it any less of a deadly sin in cartridge form.
Consider yourself lucky that you only rented it. I freaking own this game and never got the shoes.
I surely do. Unfortunately, I have to agree with the other reviewers. I don't recommend this one. It's more frustrating than fun, and I'm pretty confident for the majority of players, this is only possible to beat with save states. Perhaps if the design decisions and choices were fixed, and it had a continuation system kind of like Rygarn, the fate of this game might have been different. Alas, it didn't have it in this dimension on Earth, and that's why this game will forever be one that I wanted to like, but I can't. Thanks for watching.